Hello. We're in chapters 7, 8, and 9 today of the book of Luke. And we're going to see a lot of stories. Luke is actually blowing through quite a bit. You get a lot more detail of this particular period, the back and forth across the Sea of Galilee in the book of Mark. You see it over and over and over again. They're doing all these things and moving around and going to different cities and things like that. Mark is very, very active, just constantly on the move. Luke, you're going to see when we get towards the end, Jesus is about to head towards Jerusalem. And so that's a turning point. So in chapters 7, 8, and 9, we get some of those key pivotal events that you have to see in Jesus' life. His life is basically broken into two parts. Part number one is his Galilean ministry, and part number two is his Judean or his Jerusalem ministry. And then this gap in between, and he's trying to get people to understand just who he is. And we're going to see some of that in here. A lot of emphasis on faith. Chapter 7, the faith of the centurion. The thing that's most important in the faith of the centurion is he didn't even go see Jesus himself. He sent somebody. And he didn't send somebody because he's too superior and he's just going to staff it out. No, he says, I'm not worthy. He says, Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. And then he explains. He says, I am a man under authority. And I have people that are under me, under my authority. I say to one, go, and he goes, and one, come, and he comes. And what he's saying, he says, it is not some power that you have that I know. He says, you have authority over these things. I think that's quite perceptive on the part of the centurion. Sometimes we don't see the authority of Jesus Christ, where he's actually seated, who he actually is. One of the problems we have is we don't live in anything like a kingdom where there is a king and we are subjects to the king. We are citizens of the United States, not subjects to the king. But when it comes to Jesus, we're subjects to the king. So anyway, he understands that. You then have John the Baptist. He's in jail, and we don't know any of the details here. Luke doesn't share that, but he's concerned that maybe he hadn't done his job, and so he sends people to ask Jesus, and Jesus doesn't really answer the question so well. He simply says, go back and tell them what you see. And he says, the deaf hear, the blind see, the dead are raised. These are quotes from Isaiah, which are the same passages of scripture that talked about John the Baptist coming to prepare the way of the Lord. So he says, same passages that told you what your job is, they tell you what my job is. Ask your guys how that's working out for them. And they do. You get over to the end of chapter 7, or towards the end. It's talking about he's getting attacked by the scribes and the Pharisees again. And there's an interesting thing down there. It starts in around verse 32. It says, they are like children sitting in the marketplace calling out to each other. We played the flute for you and you did not dance. We sang a dirge and you did not cry. For John the Baptist came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and you say he has a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and you say he's a glutton and a drunkard. He says, you guys can't be satisfied. He said, the children singing, we play a flute and you won't dance. We sing a sad song and you won't cry. He said, he comes one way, I come another way. You can't go. You're just not paying attention. Get to chapter 8. We have a couple of parables that are real important. The parable of the sower, which we all know about. We won't talk about that again. We have Jesus calming the storm. We have Jesus healing a demon-possessed man. We have Jesus raising a dead girl, and that's when he's on the way to the dead girl's house, to the girl's house, and then she dies along the way, and the woman comes up with the issue of blood. That story is interjected just like in the book of Mark. And then we also get to chapter 9, and Jesus sends out the 12 on the limited commission. He then feeds the 5,000. And there's a lot of stuff going on in there. And then what we get is this pivotal point I was talking about, and that's Peter's confession of Jesus in chapter 9. And we also then get the transfiguration. You see, the transfiguration and the acknowledgement that Jesus is the Messiah go hand in hand. It is capturing this fact as real as it can be, and this is what launches them on their way to Jerusalem. Look at verse 51. And it opens up and says, as the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. When it's close to his time being taken up to heaven, you know what that means. That's a translation of, or a foreshadowing of, his death, burial, and resurrection, and ultimate ascension into heaven. And so in 9 chapters, we've got a lot of chapters left to go, but in 9 chapters, Jesus has done all of his early ministry, and now he's on his way to Jerusalem. And that's how chapter 9 ends. Hope you enjoy. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great evening.